Another thing was Kerry Combs talking about Tyreek Johnson and saying some good things about him. Ohio State, redshirt sophomore corner at this point who has really yet to do anything at Ohio State, and mentioned that he had a really good winter and really good spring, and that he was starting to turn it on, and he still expects big things from him. And when Combs talks about the guys that they look for in recruiting, it's big, long, fast, and not afraid to hit, and that's what he is. And so that's the first time we've really heard some positive stuff about Tyreek Johnson. So that was good. Right after we got done talking to the coaches, it was announced that Jalen Gill was transferring. And when we were talking to Brian Hartline before that, he was asked about Jalen Harris and Jalen Gill, and only talked about Jalen Harris and what a leader he has become, even though, this is his coming into his senior year. And I think he has maybe like 4 or 5 catches to his credit, but talked about how he's taken the younger guys under his wing and has become this leader and become a guy that everybody can look up to. And I think before the spring, maybe a lot of people may have seen Jalen Harris as a guy who might transfer out for some playing time because of a numbers crunch. But it was just interesting that Hartline had plenty to say about Jalen Harris, plenty of good things, didn't even really acknowledge Jalen Gill. And so those were the, 2 of the bigger things, just personnel wise, of guys we haven't heard about much, where there's finally some positive things coming out.
I would say the big takeaway for me was Greg Studerawa kind of laid it out there, the 2 open spots that he's got, right tackle. It sounds like Nicholas Petit-Frere, Paris Johnson, DeJuan Jones are all battling at that position. Petit-Frere has obviously been in the program a couple years, whereas Jones is just finishing his first year. Paris Johnson enrolled early as a freshman, and it's a great battle there, it sounds like. And I would probably say Petit-Frere, 40%, the other 2 guys 30% chance, or 35 for Paris Johnson and 25 for the 360-pounder DeJuan Jones. But, I think all 3 of them will be given every opportunity, and Stud sounded very happy with what he was getting there. Then his other spot is at left guard, where Jonah Jackson was. And to me, that's Harry Miller all the way. With Matthew Jones and Gavin Cupp, a 5th-year senior. It sounds like he's excited to get Gavin Cupp into the mix, just to see if he could maybe mix things up a little bit. But that's Harry Miller all the way to me. So I would put that at Miller at left guard, and I'm going to say Petit-Frere with a slight chance of Paris Johnson at right tackle would be how I'd handicap those positions. And that's nothing bad to say about Matthew Jones at guard. I think he's got tremendous potential. And if Wyatt Davis leaves after the upcoming season, I would think he'd be the next one in line there. And of course, Myers is going to have a tough decision probably after this upcoming season as well, whether he wants to stick around as a 5th-year senior in 2021 or head off to the NFL if he has another great year. So, interesting times on the offensive line. You got to be happy that you've got the 3 veterans with Davis, Myers, and Munford, and those are the building blocks. Those are the guys that you run behind. They pass protect, and those are the steamrollers that lead the way. This offense averaged 47 points per game, was among the most prolific in the country last year and among the most prolific in school history. And I think it was Kevin Wilson quoted the numbers. I think I wrote them down. 47 touchdowns for J.T. Barrett in 2017 combined, 54 for Dwayne Haskins combined in 2018, and 51 for Justin Fields last season. So 3 years, your quarterbacks have accounted for an average of just over 50 touchdowns. And to me, that's tremendous production. And I see no reason why in 2020, all things being equal, if they get help from the running back position, that's the only Achilles heel on the offense right now to me. So they're going to have another season where they're pushing 45, 48 points per game, no doubt.
You trying to tell us that Cornelius Green or Rex Kern didn't post touchdown totals like that?
I don't think so because, they may have rushed for 10 or 12 or whatever, but they certainly weren't throwing for 40. So I don't think so. No, I don't. I got an argument with my son. We were doing one of those things on Twitter where you had to pick, the running back, the wide receiver, the linebacker, the defensive end, and the quarterback. And he said, if I just took the guys listed from last year's team, it would be the 15 points that you need. You give 15 points to do it. He says, I'll take my chances with that. And I said, no, I'll take Haskins and then take a lesser number guy at another position. And he and I are arguing with one another from one room to the next. I go, dude, my guy threw for 50 touchdowns or something. It's like, well, my guy only had 3 interceptions and 2 of those were in the last game. So you could sit here and argue about Fields and Haskins all day if you wanted. I think we're going to see the best Justin Fields we're going to see this coming season because hopefully he'll be able to run the ball and have the threat of being able to run the ball a little bit more. And I'm not saying rely on him. I'm not saying put him in harm's way. I am just saying, you get down there near the goal line, let him score about 13 touchdowns and just see how that changes things in a heartbeat.
Steve mentions
package that never worked.
The Tate Martell package.
You've cracked me up again.
But Steve mentions to
you're going to have a fumbled snap. There's going to be a false start. There's going to be the motion man's going to get hit with the snap.
Yeah. I think Ohio State has probably the 5 best offensive lines in the Big Ten this year. Because I think they can go too deep at every position and put a very good offensive line out there. So they've got, just a wealth. And Gavin Cupp, 5th-year senior, as Steve mentioned, has not played much, but is a solid guy. And then you've got Enoch Vamahi, a redshirt freshman who is well thought of. So they've got a lot of depth there. And I think they could trot out 2 different lines like Jim Tressel used to for a series here or there just to get them some experience. But they've got a lot of good guys there, and I think they'll be fine whoever steps up, if it's Paris Johnson or Nicholas Petit-Frere or even DeJuan Jones at right tackle.